trouble with the Easter Bunny.
You get him, Keith.
Hey, that's not me. I would worry about the Easter Bunny if I was Amazon. I just got to tell you, because I and the Easter Bunny had a deal cut for an Easter Bunny outfit that didn't show up.
Oh, you were going to actually wear an Easter Bunny suit. Wow.
Well, I was going to get dressed up in an Easter Bunny suit.
Okay.
And Amazon kind of messed that up a little bit. So, you know what? They're probably not going to get any treats on Easter morning, I think.
No treats on Easter morning for Amazon. Shame on them, Judah. Shame on them.
Oh, hey, Judah.
Oh, man. Friday at VMV Brands and in the Masters. Good thing the Masters is showing in the studio here.
Yeah, well, I was just thinking about that. That's the first time you didn't have numbers up on that.
Well, markets are closed today. It's Good Friday. So
I knew that.
Markets are not open today. That's why CNBC is not in the studio. If the markets were open, CNBC would trump the Masters.
Well, I would prefer the Masters over that.
Yeah, we're in the second round here at Augusta. And we can get rocking and rolling here on the Friday edition of Real Talk with Keith Smith, who again may or not be not be wearing Easter Bunny ears.
I don't know. I have no idea what you're talking about.
J-Dubs, let's rock.
Quiet on the set.
Good Friday morning, guys. Jerry Miller, and welcome to Real Talk with Keith Smith. Thank you kindly for joining us. Great to connect with you on a Good Friday here in Charlottesville in Central Virginia. A pleasure to chitter-chatter real estate life and the pursuit of happiness on a program presented by Yes Realty Partners and Keller Williams Alliance. Judah Wickower should get significant props anytime we do a program. I try to do that at the beginning of the show so I don't forget. Judah Wickower, our director. If you can go to the studio camera and welcome our, is it Keith, Judah? Who's sitting across from me today? Is it Keith?
Today's Keith. Just happen to have some.
Is that Keith?
Could be.
Does the Easter Bunny have a name, Judah? Who is that?
He's called Keith.
Okay, there's Keith. Keith is here.
I am super disappointed. I was really all pumped for the Easter Bunny suit, but our friends at Amazon could not coordinate delivery. It was supposed to show up yesterday, and apparently it is now showing up Wednesday after Easter.
Oh.
And I'm like, well, what the F?
Well, are you going to save it or you're going to get your money back?
Oh, I already canceled it.
Cancel the order?
Sent it back. I'm going to get my money back. What's the sense of having an Easter Bunny suit after Easter? Go figure.
Amazon, shame on you. The Cadbury eggs will be going to Keith's belly instead of Jeff Bezos' belly. Your colleague at Lake Monticello, Maggie Gunnels, is giving you props. She adores the ears you are wearing right now. It's a Good Friday today. The Masters is on. The weekend around the corner. Allergy season has sprung. Inventory still a shortage. Demand at a near all-time high in Central Virginia. And every week is a different week here on Real Talk with Keith Smith.
Oh, we just did the show. Goodbye.
Every week is a different week. Every week.
Well, it's every week. And I'll tell you what, I was thinking all week long, I think it was on Monday, one of the viewers that said they show up for the data and stay for, I think, the bunny ears.
I think he said, I listen for the real estate, but I stay for the chatter or the jokes or the conversation, something along those lines.
The dad jokes. I think it's totally the dad jokes.
I don't think he said dad jokes. I don't think
I know
anyone
that.
is.
I'm making it up as I go along here, Miller.
Yeah.
Keep up with me, will you?
Yeah, not the dad jokes.
Well, speaking of which, as soon as I finish the show today, I got to run up to Richmond and see if we're going to get house number 11 for the kids.
11 offers.
We are on our 11th contract.
11th house.
Well, we'll find out.
Super dad, Keith Smith. He's a
realtor. With the bunny ears.
He's a realtor. That's what he does for a living. Helps people buy and sell homes. One
and
of
I'm wearing
his
a pink
favorite
shirt today.
clients, maybe his most favorite, his daughter from Seattle. She has a 2-3-month-old?
Oh, today, little Ravenna's turning 3 months.
3 months old.
Today's the 7th.
They're moving from Seattle to follow his son-in-law, Houston, who's taking a heavy hitter job as a doctor in Richmond's medical team. Anesthesiologist. Making some bank, Houston. Congratulations.
Well, I would hope so after 12 years.
I mean, 12 years in school and considerable student debt. The man deserves to make a good chunk of money here.
Plus, he's living with my daughter. I mean, I'm sorry. Me. Yes, he knows me. That's
in a small apartment in Seattle.
Yeah, well, I got to tell you.
With the 3-month-old.
That they are all about the small. She sent me on the show, it was Wednesday, like a 750 square foot house for like $400,000 in the fan. And she goes, yeah, we can do that. And I said, no.
Once the granddaughter gets moving, all about the small is going to be an issue.
Well, particularly since I think at some point we'll have a number 2 and or more.
So 11 homes, what's the mood?
You know what? I'm glad you brought that up because she's actually the one that's been encouraging me on this. She was like, okay, I'm in for the long haul, let other people take a time out. We're staying in. They're in the game. They're showing up to play as the Masters are on our left and your right over there. They're showing up to play and they're not giving up and they're making deals and it's funny. There's one that we're going to look at. I feel really good about. And actually, I heard the first time from her, I'm in love with this house.
Whoa.
So, maybe this might work. And if it does work, it's everything that she wants. It's walking distance to coffee, food. It's right next to Bryant Park.
Oh.
So she can walk to Bryant Park.
Very nicely done.
It's right next to we got to get it.
Is the Richmond market more competitive than the Charlottesville market right now?
Man, that's a great question. Yes and maybe no. Yes, right. I need to go back to my 6 things that I do too much of.
If you're trying to get into the west end of Richmond, it's more competitive.
The
than the Charlottesville
location
market
matters. Right, I think the difference in Richmond and here, 4 or 5 blocks make a huge difference.
Right.
In Richmond, here, the neighborhoods are much. It's interesting. We're smaller, but the neighborhoods are bigger, right? You don't have that huge change of blocks, but in certain parts of Richmond, if you go 2 or 3 blocks one way or the other, I mean, it just changes like from one extreme to another, and it's from huge homes to small homes, or to high dollar homes to less dollar homes. So it's a little bit, it's a more finesse, I think, in the Richmond market than here. Here needs a lot of finesse, and we're going to talk a little bit about that today, because I finally got to the point of running numbers for the first quarter, and we've got some good news and we got some bad news.
All right, so here's the nitty gritty, and we got a bar graph here. You can find this data at realtalkwithkeithsmith.com. He's putting out the data faster than the association is, and I'll leave it at that. The data archived at realtalkwithkeithsmith.com. If you own a house in Charlottesville or Albemarle County, I'll say it again. If you own a house in Charlottesville or in Albemarle County, year over year, your values are down. I ripped off the Band-Aid.
Yeah, so
I had to rip off the Band-Aid there.
Yeah, so the first quarter over quarter. So if we got slide 1 on, so quarter over quarter. So the quarter finishing 2023 versus the quarter in 2022. Now let's be specific. This is single family detached, right? No new construction. And you'll find as I go through, because I go all the way to Buckingham with these numbers and the other side of the mountain. So I wanted some consistency to keep it single family detached.
Buckingham got hammered.
Buckingham got hammered big time.
If you bought a house in Buckingham in the last year, you're underwater.
Correct. So Buckingham had a $90,000 hit year over year.
You hear that, Judy?
32%. But we called this, right? We talked about this, right? I mean, we had this conversation, I believe, on one of the shows. I had somebody about a year and a half ago want me to buy an investment property out in Buckingham, and I said, I don't think so. I think when the rubber band starts contracting, that's going to happen. Now, the volume is ridiculously low. It's 7 units, 13 units, right? So that has a lot to do with it. But get back to Charlottesville and Albemarle. That's, again, quarter over quarter. Charlottesville single-family detached took a 5% haircut. So we're about 22.
Charlottesville City.
City itself, single-family detached. But when you go ahead and take a look at what just closed in the last 7 days, and that's where I just don't want folks to start thinking, oh my God, kind of thing. This was I think what happened in Albemarle and Charlottesville was a bit of a hangover, right? If you look at the chart, it's stuff that's north of 400 is maybe a little bit softer in the first quarter. The homes that are under 400 are out, they're quarter over quarter are up on that. So I think its price made a huge difference in the first quarter. But Charlottesville's $100,000 over just this week versus the end of the first quarter. So what's going to happen by the end of the second quarter, you're going to see those numbers reverse and start climbing up. So I think there was a bit of a hangover, a little of a timeout, particularly the 400K and north. This is about 12, 15 hours worth of work digging into going ahead and do this. But you take a look at it, Greene County was up. Fluvanna was flat outside of Lake Monticello. Fluvanna, Lake Monticello was up. Nelson was up. Waynesboro was up. Augusta was up. Stanton was up. Buckingham was down big time. So, take a look at those numbers. And then on slide number 2, which is really, I think, the impactful part of it, the volumes are just plummeting on the sale. So the number of units that are selling are just down. And you can take a look at the bar. Augusta was the big loser. Was a tremendous drop in Augusta. And we can get into percentages of that. But people like Maggie and some other realtors out there, I'd love them to chime in and see what they think about this. But the numbers are the numbers, and it looks like Albemarle and Charlottesville took a little bit of a haircut in the first quarter. Everybody else did better except for Buckingham, and I'm curious to see how this is going to look into the second quarter. Again, Charlottesville is up this last week, big time by $100,000. Albemarle is also up too.
I think that's a sizzle reel right there, J-Dubs, if you want to chop that up. That's a good one.
It's an okay.
I don't think there's panic. I think it's understand what's happening.
Yeah.
And it's a hangover from last year creeping into Q1 of this year.
I think it's a hangover for the 400,000 and up.
Yeah.
And that's what happened, and that's the right choice of words. It was kind of a hangover. I think you had a little bit of November, December kind of hangover kind of stuff, and if you were south of 400, you did well. I mean, Greene County is the huge winner. They are up 17%. So the bar graph doesn't have percentages; it's just a visual on it. In my hot little hands, I've got the actual spreadsheet. It's up, but they were 41% down in sales, quarter over quarter, volume of sales going down on that. And the big percentage loser for drop of it was actually was Waynesboro. Waynesboro was down 52%, the volume of sales on that, but it was up 8%. In value, quarter over quarter. So again, I think it's price point. I think it's location. I think the 400 plus first month or two of the year, everybody was kind of like, let's see what happens. The people that are trying to look below the 400 mark. And I was talking to Young on the way in, and she wanted to know what I was going to talk about today. And I said the Easter Bunny, and she said,
"I'm going to get to Jerry's studio and look for Easter Bunny ears."
That's what I'm going to do, but
that's what he did.
I begged actually, but if you were below 400, man, it's super competitive. And I'm wearing my Captain Avia socks today.
You know what? I'd be willing to bet, and I'm not saying we have to make a bet, but just kind of a turn of
let my mustache get a little
just
thicker,
a phrase here that by the end of this year, end of 2023, we're going to see values up over the end of 2022.
And that's what
This is a blimp. It's an anomaly. Because I thought about this after you dropped this on Real Talk with Keith Smith on Monday. Initially, and you're smart to do this because the headline's going to come from the Charlottesville Association Realtors.
That's assuming
Charlottesville Area Association of Realtors. They're going to issue a report. Yeah. The report's going to be picked up by the TV stations and the print.
Sure.
The TV stations and the print will do nothing but regurgitate the press release from Carr. The press release from Carr is going to say quarter over quarter, 2022 versus 2023, values have dropped, and people are going to freak the heck out.
Well, I think the real story is the volume sale drop. That's the real story. So Charlottesville quarter over quarter was 39% down. So there was 39% less transactions this quarter versus the quarter of 2022.
I would attribute a lot of that sales and volume drop to interest rates sticker shock, because in December of last year, we still had the sticker shock of interest rates that pretty much crushed demand. December of last year, demand was crushed. A lot of those deals were closing in Q1 of this year. A lot of those deals closing in Q1. So that's attributable to the volume drop.
Yeah, and not to get too detailed in the spreadsheet, but when you take a look at the actual details of what sold in Charlottesville, so those 50 units sold in the first quarter of this year versus 82 of last year. When I took a hard look at that, in the 82, there was I didn't write the number down, but the percentage-wise was way more 750 and plus sales in the first quarter of last year because the money was cheap, right?
Right,
It was 2%, 3%. And this last 50, there's very few that are over that. So that's why I think that math got skewed a little bit. I think for sure when you started claiming over 7% is super impactful.
Oh, no doubt.
On that end of it. And I think that's what happened. And the same pretty much thing happened in Albemarle County. Over a certain price point, they kind of evaporated, but now they're starting to come back in a big time. So again, if you take a look at just the last 7 days, my bunny ears.
No, they're good, dude.
They're moving okay.
They're fitting well. They bring out the pink in the shirt, the ears.
I know that.
It's like you perfectly planned this.
And I got the.
Oh, you got some socks on.
I got
today.
the pink flamingo socks on.
I don't want to know the color of your underwear now.
Oh, you're supposed to wear underwear?
No. Oh, TMI.
It's a joke. It happens to be pink also. But anyway, go ahead.
It's terrifying. This is a phenomenon that I want to talk about again, because I don't think you truly were able to offer your perspective on it. Scott Morris on Wednesday brought something up that's resonated with me. My wife and I talked about it over dinner. And Scott essentially said those folks that purchased homes before COVID have significant appreciation and equity in their houses. And we're talking in some cases 30 to 50%.
Substantial amount of money. Hundreds of thousands.
Me specifically, probably looking at somewhere between 35 and 40%.
I would agree with that.
Since March of 2020 purchase. And Scott mentioned if you bought this house, your house, before COVID, and you look at what you're going to buy today, you're going to see a couple of things play out. You'll see the house that you want, 40% more expensive. And then you'll see the money to buy the house that you want at an interest rate that's 2x what it was when you bought it. So while folks are sitting on stacks of equity and stacks of money, the move up or the next buy is substantially more expensive.
It depends, though.
Substantially.
It depends how you do the math, Mr. Miller.
Oh, I heard Scott. I'm curious to hear what you have to say.
Well, I tried to jump in on that, but I'll maybe do a little bit more talking about it now. It depends on the math. It depends on how much money you make. So if you bought 4 or 5 years ago and you are in X dollars, that's where you have to sit down with the family at the table and do the math with them. Sit down with Mr. and Mrs. Miller and do the math. Okay, you bought your house here. This is what your payoff is. This is what the market is. Here's your balance left over. Okay, great. Now let's go look at what you want to buy, right? So it's going to be substantially more expensive for sure because things are clean up. But then you also got to calculate in the 7%, and you pull out an amortization table or 6.5% or 6%, and you'll find out, depending on how much equity you have built, maybe it's not that much more expensive to buy that because you've got to take that cash that you cashed out and you moved over there. Somebody who's bought last year is not going to be able to do that, even if you're making, let's say, if you are in Greene County and you made your home appreciated 17%. 17% is a healthy number.
Someone who bought last year is going to hold till the 2-year marker for capital gains anyway.
Yeah, exactly. A, you're going to hold for your capital gains.
Yeah.
B, the average person now moves 10 years, so they're going to be in the home as they're doing that.
I think Scott's point was this is a phenomenon that we need to start addressing in impacting inventory. So much of the inventory talk is limited use for development, 5% of Albemarle County for residential and commercial, Charlottesville's landlocked and completely built. That's what we talk about, the inventory issues.
We talked about 3% and how I felt that that's actually going to impact us more.
But this is different than the 3%. This is the 3% combined with the fact that the house that you now want to buy is 40% more expensive.
That's exactly
so for our family looking, we would be looking at, I don't even want to say a price, considerably more than what we got.
And it's a math thing, right? If you're walking away with enough net income, right? Your net income from the sale of your house is this.
Yeah.
And if you're able to migrate that over, it might work. And the decision might be, okay, I can handle a 1 or 2% per month. Because people, for the most part, people buy by the monthly payment, right? So, Yona and I, every 2 years, flip a car, right? As long as my monthly payment is exactly the same, I just
You guys lease?
No.
Okay.
So we turn it over, right? The first car we put a substantial amount of cash down on it, so we built in, even though vehicles depreciate, but we have enough cash residual in it. And as long as every 2 years, every 90 to 100,000 miles, my payment's the same, I keep on going, right? I just keep on doing it. And then when we stop wanting to do that, we just pay off the balance of it and we own that car and move on. Unless she lets me get that Rivian for $120.
I don't think that's happening. Your Toyota, your truck drives well.
Oh, I love my truck.
It looks sharp.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I love
That's
my
got a lot of life in front of it.
Somebody hit it in a parking garage, so I'm not happy with that.
You got a ding?
I got a ding.
Did you? What'd you do about it? Did you report it?
Nah, it was the plastic around the wheel well in the back. So
did you ask?
No, I wasn't going to do that.
Okay, because she'll probably show you the video camera. She likes you.
I know she likes me, but I just didn't.
Did you think about it?
I didn't actually, but thank you for note to self.
Check out. There's video cameras in that parking garage.
Yeah.
I understand what you're saying. That if the math makes sense and you can cash out with the chunk, and then you could potentially buy something else, and then you have residual to help you make up the excess on the monthly. I get it. I totally get it.
But you have to put a value. You have to put a value to why you have to move, right? So if there's, health situation. I mean, it's a horrible
divorce, job, health.
I have to tell you, I have to give my hat.
More children.
Hats off to Yona, because she's handling these clients, not me. But we're working through a couple of divorce scenarios. Man, I'll tell you what. As a real estate agent, that's like the worst thing ever, right? You got to sit down two people that are getting divorced and work them through selling a piece of property, and it is a very difficult thing to navigate.
Well, you have Yona.
Thank you. Yeah. I mean, I've done it before, but these couple of
thank you, Yona.
These couple of ones happen to be Yona at the moment, and then I get called in to fix it.
No, not true. Okay.
I don't know about that. Sometimes I do.
With this type of client specifically?
No.
General.
Yeah, my phone call usually is, you're a builder, look at this.
Yeah, or somebody.
Yeah, I know a guy.
You know a guy.
I know a guy.
Contact your guy here.
Contact my guy.
So we'll see where market continues, guys. It's Good Friday. We're in the start of Q2. He's got the numbers on screen. Judah can put them up again. We'll get to the comments coming in. This one from our favorite prognosticator from Waynesboro.
Oh, Kevin.
He says there's 6 finished units at Martin's in Waynesboro unsold, and they were completed in January and February.
So-
He's talking a new development.
Yeah, so I specifically am not looking at new construction right now on that end of it. These numbers are purely existing homes on it, but yes, you're 100% right. Look,
And Bill says stick with hybrids, that the EVs are not where you want to be.
you know what? A bunch of people are telling me that. Okay.
Well, your boy Quentin can tell you. He's got a Rivian.
He's got a Rivian. Look.
QB's got a Rivian.
Mine's a 2017 four-door. I've got 60,000 miles on it. It's not even broken in yet.
Yeah.
And the only thing I got wrong with it is a little ding on the
And
side.
Toyotas run forever.
Oh, yeah. I love it. So, Augusta, what did he say, Augusta or Waynesboro?
He said Waynesboro.
So, the city of Waynesboro has gone up 8%. So, the end of the first quarter, the median sales price was $238. Last quarter was $220. That's an $18,000 jump. That's an 8% from percentage perspective. But it wins because there's a 52% drop in sales. So first quarter of this year was 42 units. First quarter of 2022 was 87. That's a huge drop. That's over 50% drop in volume. And look, we're super fortunate. Our little shop is up over a third.
30% up.
33% to be exact.
That's impressive.
But this is going to start impacting the industry as a whole by the end of this year. By the end of this year, and I've got a.
You got to sneeze?
No, I got a
mustache.
I got a
hair in your mustache.
I got a mustache hair that's going a little wonky. You should talk to Judah while I try to
Judah
fix
knows
it.
about the mustache hair and
Would
the
you
nose.
mind talking to Judah for a second?
All right, so get him off the screen. I think that's what he's saying over there.
Absolutely.
Get the man off the screen over there, Judah Wickauer. Keith Smith, the star of our program, has got a critical issue going on right now.
I've got a mustache hair that is tickling my nose as I speak.
I think you're looking sharp, Keith.
There's nothing is off base on Real Talk with Keith.
Amen, brother.
We went
And
everything
I've seen
from
it over 4 years, not 5, but 4, Keith. 4.
Yeah. But it's show 446 though.
That's a lot of shows.
That's a lot of shows.
446 Real Talks with Keith
and
Smith.
I haven't been kicked out yet.
446 Real Talks with Keith Smith, Judah. Think about that.
Yeah.
That's a lot of shows. 446.
I'm getting
It's
close
amazing.
to be able to get my BA in this.
You're getting close. What's the BA?
Bachelor's,
I know, but what's the threshold that you're basing a BA
4
on?
years, right?
Okay.
Right?
Yeah, okay.
Right, at
You're
the
basically saying these are credits that are counting to graduation.
Sure.
So he's going to graduate from which
The first school of Jerry.
first, the I Love CVille Network. Okay, that's terrifying. We should create a broadcasting school. That's not a bad idea.
No more ideas, Smith. So look, in Augusta County was up a little bit, 295 first quarter, 286 first quarter last year. So it's about a 9,003%. It's a 38% drop in volume of sales. The numbers are much bigger: 98 versus 159, 98 and 23, 159 and 22. But look, everything that is below 400 has gone up in value and has gone down in
Inventories, volume sold.
Actually, there was one.
Why did Buckingham have such a large drop?
Because
Because it's far. That's what we're going to say.
I was going to say because it's Buckingham.
Because it's far from employment.
It's Buckingham, but there's.
I mean, the largest drop in the car footprint, if you put the bar graph back on screen, is Buckingham, and it's noticeable. Is that why we attribute the drop to? Because it's far?
Jerry, we talked about this. We had a show where I had somebody, I think it was live, was asking to buy when things were nuts 12 months ago, 16 months ago, 18 months ago. Hey, buy a unit in Buckingham and rent it. And I said no, because when the adjustment would happen, the ones that are out furthest, which would be Buckingham, is going to get hit the hardest. And I think we talked about this all the time, that the market is turning into this pear-shaped rubber band, for lack of a better term, on that end of it. 18 months ago, 16 months ago, it didn't matter where the heck you were doing it. But Buckingham had hang on a second, I will tell you, a 46%, excuse me, a 32% drop in value, a 46% drop in sales. Now, we got to caveat this.
Yeah, there's not that many.
7.
Yeah, it's not that many.
And it's also, we don't cover the whole county.
Yeah, it's part of Buckingham's in a different MLS.
That's exactly right. But percentage-wise, that's the reason why I wanted to talk about that. Percentage-wise, it's a 32% drop. Stanton's up 3%.
John Blair, Stanton's finest, watching the showdown.
Is up 3%. 23, it was at this past quarter, 240. First quarter, 22, 232. That's an $8,000 uptick. A little bit more reasonable is about a 24% drop. So it's like 50%, half of what Waynesboro was. Nelson County had a small increase, about 5%, $18,000. It went last quarter, 23, 385, 22, 367, 44% drop. So they're like in the second place as far as percentage drops. But it was interesting. Fluvanna, my home county, actually had a meager increase in sales. So they were the only jurisdiction that had an increase. So I always break Fluvanna down between regular Fluvanna and Lake Monticello. I don't even know if it makes any sense.
That makes sense. Yeah.
On that end of it. So the non-Lake Monticello Fluvanna had an increase of 16%, had 5 more units sell quarter over quarter, but it had a loss of 1%. So let's call it flat.
In value.
In value.
Yeah.
It was 343 versus 345. That's statistically, in my opinion, that's pretty flat. Lake Monticello had a 39% drop in sales, went from 35 to 57 and 22, but they had a 10% increase there.
In value.
A $30,000 pop in value. So again, looking at that bar graph, if you were at Charlottesville and Albemarle, and if you bought a quarter ago and it was single family detached, you had a bit of a drop in value. It is surely temporary, and I think it's a statistical anomaly.
That word.
Huh?
An anomaly.
Yeah, that too. Anomaly. That hurt. A statistical blip, as that sounds.
That's perfect.
A statistical blip, and so that's it. I promised everybody I would get numbers for first quarter. There you go. I would love somebody to chime in and help Smith out with his bunny ears on a case study.
I think when we're all said and done at the end of the year, we'll see the values be higher than last year. Have you seen?
We predicted that, right? And I think you're going to see single digits, but I might be wrong. If these trends in some of these other counties keep on climbing, I mean, Greene is at 17%. Fluvanna is flat. Lake Monticello is up 10%. Nelson is up 5%. Waynesboro 8%. Augusta 3%. Stanton 3%. And Buckingham is the one that's you're getting hurt there, guys. You lost 32%. That's not recovering.
Have you seen
Buckingham is just going to keep on going down.
The CAR report will come out soon. Which from years past have you seen CAR presidents manage reports like this the best? And what did they do to manage it?
Yeah. Well,
I mean, because they're all quoted, they're all interviewed by the media when the report comes out.
Yeah, I have a huge, and you can tag him if you want.
You're gonna go Michael Guthrie.
Actually, no, Beckham.
Quentin Beckham.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then second would probably be, actually, Greg Slater.
Yeah.
Did a really good job of getting in front of the media on it. But that's the president's job. Everybody does it a little bit differently. They have their style. I'm not trying to beat anything. I'm just trying to provide data on out as timely as possible. It takes a lot of work to do that, but what we wanted to do, at least what I wanted to do, is let folks know, hey, we had a little bit of a blip. If CAR uses averages, you may not see a dip. I always use median, and I think they do, to be honest with you. But I don't really take a deep dive into their reports, to be honest with you. I just do our own work, and I know what our numbers are on it. But I am working on bringing on Dr. Lisa Steravant's replacement at Virginia Realtors to come in here, and I want his read on it. And I'm also working on trying to, on Monday, see if Woody Fincham has some time to sit down from his perspective, what he is seeing out there, to go ahead and do it. But
This question's come in, and we appreciate this question. Jennifer, thank you kindly. She says the Forum Hotel is close to opening at the Darden School. It's going to have a couple of restaurants, and it's going to be a big draw to this area, especially with the Darden crowd.
Yeah.
Have you guys talked about where the labor's going to come from this, especially if the labor's coming from out of market, and where they're going to live?
yeah.
Thank you for what you do. Good
Thank
comment.
you for the question. Yes, we have. And the question is a great question. That's why we're talking about this. That's why we're looking at it. I mean, even so, Buckingham, let's go back to Buckingham for a second. The median sales price last quarter was 190. So conceivably, that's affordable, right?
Yeah.
I know at the 80% AMI, area median income, sale price has got to be about 225, right? At today's interest rates, as the interest rates go down a little bit, that number can climb up. But just for the argument's sake, based on my work at the Land Trust,
225.
I know for a fact what that number is, right? So there's an opportunity there. I don't know what's available because I don't have it in front of me. But Staunton, 240. All right, that's a little on the upper end. Fulvana's 343. Green is 388. Albemarle's 505. Charlottesville 405. These are single-family detached, guys, right? There's other than Buckingham, there's nothing in here that's sold median sales price. Single-family detached. Now, I didn't look into attached product or condos because that's another ton of hours worth of work on it. But the question is where are they going to live? And that's a great question.
That's a great question.
And UVA is supposedly, because I was part of the community engagement team, which they disbanded, which I don't get, but I'm going to leave that one alone, unless you want to bait me on it.
No, tell me. You want to ask? You want to throw something out there on that?
They shut down their community engagement team, which I was on, which I think was a huge mistake.
Why?
I don't know. I haven't got an answer to that.
When did it shut down?
The day before our summit, a couple of weeks ago, a housing summit. So I don't. I think the thinking on that is they want the developers to be the public face on that. And I'm going to tell you what I've told everybody to their face on it. That's a huge mistake, because each one of the 3 parcels have to be rezoned, and I can assure you the elected officials that we talk to on a regular basis, and we had a couple 2 weeks ago,
Yep.
last weekend,
Last
Friday, is going to want to hear from UVA. And if they don't...
So you're talking the Fontaine project.
No, these are the 3 projects that are in. One's on Fontaine.
Yep,
I apologize.
Norfolk.
Fontaine.
Where they're going to own the land but create affordable housing.
Correct. So the 2 that are moving forward is Fontaine and
Norfolk, right?
no, sir, 10th and West, across from the Draftsman Hotel. Those are moving forward, but they're owned by the foundation, which means they have to go through a rezoning process. Even if the city adopts, and I keep my mustache, the projects that I think are being proposed exceed the capacity of the rezoning. That may be the hiccup here, that's maybe what they're waiting on, but I can assure you at some level, the city council is going to want to be involved in those rezonings.
100% city council is going to want to be involved.
Yeah. So I didn't understand it. They made that decision, and
What'd you make of UVA putting the yellow shirted ambassadors downtown?
excuse me, I gotta.
You doing okay over there?
No, I'm not.
Okay, we're going to go to the studio camp.
Go to
over
the studio
there.
camp. Smith is not doing good today.
What's he got, a cramp over there?
Yeah, my bike ride is coming to bite me, literally.
I'm curious of what he thinks of the yellow-shirted ambassadors being in downtown Charlottesville. Did you see any, Judah?
So what they're trying
I
to
have
do
not
is,
seen any.
thank you for switching the cameras around. What they're trying to do is what they did on the corner, right?
They are. They have done that.
Yeah. So what's the purpose?
Managed perception.
Is it going to work? I mean, what authority do they have?
They have radios on there, and they have a more direct line to police than we
Got
do
it.
by calling 911.
Okay.
They can patch straight into dispatch,
Okay.
where we're going through a 911, operator system,
Sure.
if you may. Outside of that, no other authority. I don't understand. I talked about this yesterday. Judah and I talked about this. I don't understand the outrage.
Oh, there's outrage.
Oh, significant outrage.
And why is that?
Police state, expanded police presence, UVA pushing beyond their grounds and territory more into Charlottesville City, UVA expanding its reach, Big Brother coming into
So is
Charlottesville.
UVA doing this or Charlottesville?
Oh, it's UVA. UVA is paying for yellow-shirted ambassadors on the downtown mall.
Apparently, I need to watch the noon show a little bit more often.
You should watch the I Love Seawell show. It's been all over the news.
I have not followed up. I was busy crunching numbers.
UVA is paying for yellow-shirted ambassadors downtown. In fact, they're walking up West Main Street, not just on the corner in downtown, all up the West Main corridor. Which let's cut to the chase. UVA students go from the corner to downtown, so the yellow-shirted ambassadors are on the path of Charlottesville where UVA students are.
They had to have some sort of blessing from the city.
We talked about this also on the noon show, on the 12:30 show, the I Love Seaville show. The UVA got approval, very reluctant approval from City Council.
Okay.
Very reluctant approval.
I don't understand the pushback.
Neither do I.
Yeah, I mean, it's
You got a police department that's a third empty, understaffed. Koch is doing whatever he possibly can to solve the gun violence. Why wouldn't we take some help from UVA? And the help that we're taking from UVA, it's not like the university is putting UPD, University Police Department officers on the downtown mall. They're putting essentially civilians that have radios and quicker access to police to radio and crimes on the downtown mall.
so what they're doing is they're taking a playbook out from the Times Square, because that's literally what happened in Times Square, right? They did two things. Well, actually, three things that turned Times.
That's what Yancey just said. Same thing New York did with subways and the Guardian Angels.
Well, Guardian Angels is I grew up during those years in New York City. Guardian Angel was something very different. This was a private, organization that did this. What I'm referring to is Times Square. So what happened? I know a lot of people don't know that, but Disney owns most of Times Square.
Right, yeah.
Right. So if you walk through it, you go, "Oh, that makes sense."
Totally.
But what happened was they brought in their own folks to clean up the trash, and they brought in ambassadors. That's what's exactly, they call them something else. But folks would walk up and down, same basic concept. It was more tourist oriented. Hey, where do I go to this and where do I go to that?
I'm pretty sure that's what this is.
Yeah,
downtown.
I don't see the.
I don't see a beef. I don't get it. I know.
Yeah. I just.
I try
So what's-
to understand the mindset, Judah. I try to be open-minded to that mindset. I'm struggling.
So what's the alternative? The alternative is what?
The alternative is just more of the same, which isn't not working so great right now.
Yeah. So if somebody I look at it a little bit differently. So if somebody is having some sort of mental health episode, right? There's somebody there that can help and call the police or the EMS or somebody to bring some services to that individual. I don't get it. I think it's actually going to turn out to be a really good thing.
I think so
And the
too.
more I think about it, I'm surprised it took this long to happen.
And it's another leverage point for UVA when the parents call, say, what the heck is going on with the town with violence? Virginia, the school, can say, we're trying to figure it out, and here's one of the things we've done to try to solve the problem.
I'm thinking of as of a local, right? It's, you're walking up and down the street, or somebody's visiting from out of town, and you see the ambassadors. Hey, I'm trying to find Citizen Burger, right? Or Jack Brown's. Hey, I'm trying to find Jack Brown's. Where's Jack Brown's, right? So it's not on the mall. Hey, you go down over and do it. That's what I would envision the ambassador doing. And if that individual sees something, right, then they pick up the phone or the radio, whatever. I don't, and I'm been busy studying zoning rewrites and stuff, and I didn't pick up on that.
Spencer says the folks are saying that if UVA does this, where and when will they stop, and how will they keep going?
Yeah, but
That's-
stop what?
Stop. What are they doing wrong?
I don't.
Help me understand.
Yeah, I don't. I would love to understand. I don't get it. I mean, if they were cops, right? or some-
They're not though.
No, they're
yeah.
just-
They don't even have weapons. Do you understand at all what the other side is, J-Dubs? I do not.
You mean what?
understand.
You mean the problem that people have with the ambassadors?
Yeah.
I think they just see it as a power grab. I think they see it as UVA trying to get, trying to, I don't know, take over Charlottesville or something.
Yeah, but
What else would it be?
I would follow that train of thought if it was not required to have city approval to do it.
Yeah. City council approved.
So they approved it. So the
Yeah.
city, the elected body for the city of Charlottesville, and correct me if I'm wrong in any of this, took action to allow this.
UVA asked for approval from city council,
And they
and they
approved it.
reluctantly approved.
They approved it, regardless,
Yeah, they approved it.
reluctantly,
They approved it.
joyously, or otherwise. The elected body had an opportunity to say
To
no.
say no, and they didn't.
And they said yes.
Yeah.
I don't see the power grab.
I totally
grab on
agree
it.
with the comments on the feed that it's just an enhanced neighborhood watch.
Yeah,
And
that's
a
the right
safe
term.
neighborhood has a strong neighborhood watch.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
It's
The more
all it
people-
is a neighborhood watch that's enhanced.
The more people, walking around and being eyes.
That's what it is.
Being visible.
Walking around, not doing bad things, just appearing to be doing normal things in these areas.
Well,
Right?
Yeah.
so we can't.
Just
The
the
city can't afford
appearance.
more cops.
It's appearance.
They don't have enough cops. They can't afford more cops.
They can afford more cops. They just can't hire the police
Well, let me
officers.
rephrase that.
The money is there.
They're
They
not
just
paying-
can't hire them.
Well, they can't hire them, but I don't think the money's there to pay them what they really need to be paid.
Chief Kachis has got a significant group of folks going through police training and school now, the academy.
Sure.
Now they will take time before they become
So let's play.
legitimate boots on the street.
Let's play this out. You've got UVA paying for enhanced. Let's call it neighborhood watch. Let's not call it ambassador because that's what it is. A neighborhood watch, which takes relief off of the police officers, that they can do whatever they need to do, and there's a direct connect. And I don't get the power grab, but what do I know?
Yeah, there it is.
I'm
there
just
it
a
is.
real estate guy. What do I know?
There it is, viewers and listeners. And we're seeing comments that there was a significant shootout a couple days ago in the Tonsler Park area. We're seeing comments on social media. I mean, the social media is where it's coming now. That there was a shootout last night in Charlottesville. So I just don't understand the pushback against figuring out.
So I expected in our conversation today that somebody would chime in and say that this 5% reduction was due to that. I was expecting somebody on
The
the
gun
feed.
violence?
Yeah, I was expecting somebody on the feed.
I don't think
to
the
jump
gun
in.
violence is why the values have dropped.
I
in
would agree
Charlottesville.
100%
Do
with
you?
that. I would agree 100% with that. But I'm just saying I would have expected to hear a little bit of that maybe that's the result of it. The end of the story, in my opinion, it's as we said earlier, I think this is just a bit of a hangover, and I'm looking at the numbers right now. We're over $100,000 in the city just this week. So, I think it was just a timeout, and we'll keep on
What
growing.
would slow the values? Like have a legitimate, permanent value impact besides the obvious, like
I think it's the obvious. That's the only
UVA
opportunity.
going away.
Yeah, I mean
That's the only
yeah,
thing?
Yeah, and that's not going to happen.
That's not going to happen.
Look, Joan and I were having this conversation yesterday, actually, at our dinner table, because much like you guys, we talk business at our dinner table. There's nothing in the radar. There's nothing we're seeing. There's nothing that's saying that values are going to decrease. Maybe 24, 25, 26, that might happen. But at the moment, if interest rates are dropping to Scott Morris's prediction, which I agree with, by the way.
He says 4s, end of the year.
Yeah, I think
That's
closer
what he
to,
said.
I think 5 is more realistic.
Okay.
But high 4s, low 5s, I think is where we're gonna think. And the inventory doesn't change. Look, I'm pretty safe with my mustache, I think.
Oh, you're winning that bet.
So, but that is not going to have enough impact on the market as far as inventory goes for a substantial period of time. So without more, it's just, I just think we're going to be doing great. You got the right businesses coming in here. You got the data center coming in here. We've got the convention center, which apparently is almost close to being finished. We don't have anybody to staff it. I don't know how that's going to work. But values are just not going to go down, guys.
I 100% in agreement with Keith Smith here.
I think we're going to, the 10-ton elephant in the room is there's going to be less of me in this marketplace though this time next year. You can't take 30, 40, 39, 44, 52%, 38% volume cuts and keep enough of me around. It's just not enough business for everybody. That's what.
Are you seeing that already?
No, I think it's a little too early for that. I think you'll see that this time. You'll see that when it comes time for dues renewals in October, which is actually not the biggest number. The quarterly MLS fees and lockbox fees is actually where the expense is. But when it gets to the October, November, we'll know real quickly how much that is going to take. You're going to see some folks retire because that's what's going to happen. But it's hard. We're on our 11th offer for our daughter. You got to have some
In Richmond.
You got to have some effing skills.
Yeah.
To go ahead and do that. But I think that's the biggest story, that you're going to start seeing the reduction of who's in the space.
Well, to her question, where are they going to live?
Excuse me?
To her question with the Kimptons, where are they going to live?
That's a great question.
She goes, look at what's on the market. Where are folks going to live?
That they're not.
And we talked about yesterday on the show on the new Pantops apartment behind Centera.
Yeah.
$1,700 a month for a 1-bedroom, 1-bath.
Yeah. I can tell you from a rent perspective, 80% AMI and down, you need to be somewhere in the 12, really not much more than 1,300.
That doesn't exist.
Well, that's to her point. Now, UVA is trying to do 1,500 rental units. Look, guys, that is years out. I'll be retired from Real Talk with Keith Smith by the time that happens. It's going to be a long, drawn-out process, just to get through rezoning, get through who they're going to pick. Then they're going to have to develop it. They're going to have to build it. It's going to be years and years down the road, and the need is today. It's why I volunteer so much of my time to go ahead and do this. I had a meeting yesterday with the executive director for the Land Trust, who we're preparing for next month's board meeting, agenda, and so forth and so on that end of it. And I'm just going to throw this out here. Maggie Walker, Land
Richmond.
Trust in Richmond, the first day it started, with a couple of phone calls, raised $5 million. We have not been able to do that here. So $5 million or $10 million, it's a lot of money.
Yeah.
But what we could do with that, we can do 50 to 100 right off the bat, permanently affordable houses in the city of Charlottesville. Because what we would do is we buy something that comes on the market for $400,000, throw $200,000 of that money towards it, and resell it for $200,000. That home now is permanently affordable all the way up. It meets our 80% AMI. It works out perfect, but I need that $200,000. And it blows my mind, this town that's pretty affluent, I can't pick up the phone and raise $5 million. And you know why? Too many damn nonprofits.
Well, you could get, Riverbend Development's $5 million interest-free loan to CRHA.
It's a loan. We need a grant.
Interest-free.
But we need a grant because how do we pay it back? So if it's a $5 million loan that has no payback period, that's fine. But the problem with that, Jerry, is now I've got to take that 200 and it becomes part of the land, and I sell the house. So at some point I've got to raise revenue.
Maybe that's a tough part of the land trust there.
The point I'm trying to make is we've got a lot of folks that want to donate money, and we have actually, I think, way too many nonprofits in this town, and everybody's got their hand out, right? And everybody gets a little bit of money. But if you want to solve the permanent, affordable housing, it just happens to be one of the pebbles or one of the silver buckshots on it. But it works, and it'll be it'll be permanent, affordable housing.
Do you think? How do you think the election coming up is going to impact housing? And do you think Payne and Snook are slam dunks?
We're going to find out next Friday, because we've got
Deshaun Cooper.
Yep, and Dave Norris.
Dave's running for delegate.
Right. So Sean's running for city council. Deshaun is running for city council, which would be very interesting because how many seats are coming up?
3.
Yeah. So now we've got 3 candidates we know about, right? So, if we only have 3 candidates and 3 seats.
Well, we have 5 candidates now.
That's right. I forgot.
Yeah, we got Snook.
Yeah. Look, I think
Snook, Payne, Cooper, Bob Fenwick, and Natalie Oshry.
So has Bob actually?
Yeah, he's got the signatures and he's filed. Yeah, that was in. Yeah.
Got it. Mean more news I was supposed to read?
That was I Love Siegel show. I Love Siegel show broke that news about Bob Fenwick.
Got it. So the reality of it is.
And then Natalie Oshrin is in the mix. So there's 5 for 3 spots. Oshrin grew up in the area.
Incumbents always have an advantage. We shall see on it. I think they're going to be making the play, which they did here on the show, make the play for institutional memory matters, right? We shall see. But housing is going to be it.
I'm very curious to see what happens if Bob Fenwick says, I'm going to run on a platform that's 100% against upzoning. I'm curious to see how that impacts Bob Fenwick in his ability to win in the June Democratic primary. Remember, viewers and listeners of this Fine and Fair talk show, that the Democratic primary on June 20th is going to decide and determine this. No Republicans have filed paperwork. The deadline was yesterday.
Yeah.
Independents technically have until June 20th.
That's exactly right.
To file their paperwork. So independents have time.
And we're one of the states that don't have a sore loser law, right? So if Bob doesn't make it on, he can just become an independent, right? Some states you can't do that. If you're in a
Are you sure about that?
According to Dave Norris, we don't, because I had this conversation with him. So I may be regurgitating what he said, but I believe there's not a.
So you're basically saying if one of these guys loses the Democratic primary, they can then say I'm running as an independent?
As long as they do it prior to that deadline.
The Democratic primary.
If Neil watches,
help me understand that, because the Democratic primary.
Neil would confirm that.
The Democratic primary is June 20th, and the deadline to file if you're an independent is June 20th. So they're the same day. So the people that lose in the Democratic primary will know they lost after the deadline to file for the independent.
Or he has a pretty good idea on the 18th or 19th that this isn't going to happen. It just switches to independent. There's some little wiggle room you can go ahead and do that with.
But in this community,
right.
In this community, who would choose to run as an independent? Do you know the last independent to serve on council?
I don't know who it is, but I know Bellamy tried to.
He lost as an independent. Yeah. Do you know the last independent to serve? Do you?
I do not.
The last independent to serve on Charlottesville City Council, Judah Wickhauer.
I do not.
The last non-Democrat, how's that, to serve on City Council?
Non-Democrat.
Yeah.
Well, there was a bunch of Republicans there for a while.
No, not a bunch of Republicans.
Way back when there was,
No.
in the 80s, 90s.
The last non-Democrat to serve on City Council.
I'm going to defer to you on that.
Wasn't that Nakia?
Nakia Walker
Oh, yeah, that's
was
right.
an independent,
That's
and
right.
before that, Rob Schilling as a Republican.
That's right. Look at you.
Bob Fenwick has tried to run as an independent in years past lost that independent race and then ran as a Democrat and won.
So that's interesting. So you're thinking that if Bob runs as an
If I was
upzoning.
in Bob Fenwick's camp,
wouldn't
would
that
say-
only accelerate their approval of it?
I don't think it's going to happen. I mean,
Before November?
Lloyd and Michael were talking about.
Yeah, but they're going to do it before November.
Actually, they would have till technically December 31st.
That's exactly right.
Not before November. But
That's exactly right.
will they do it before November?
I think so, yeah.
And here's another thing. Will everything that's been done before December, actually December technically, everything that's been done before 3 other people enter council, can that all happen this year? I mean, because we know there's lawsuits percolating.
Yeah. Well, it'll get adopted. Then it depends on what the lawsuits does. So then it can just stop it, right? So if they take action, it'll be action. It'll be the law. Then a judge can just go ahead and say
I think over half this
help me out with that. What's the terminology that they would use on it?
appeal.
No, they do it stay. They would do a stay on the inaction, on the action implementation. That's the word I'm looking for on it. But look, I actually, and to his credit, Neil is an excellent human being. On Friday after the show, I called him up and I said, "Would you like to change the date?"
No.
He's exactly what he said. No.
Can't
But
change the date of a bet. That's the whole
yeah.
point of the bet.
Yeah, I know, but
What were you going to change it to
No,
later?
I was going to see if he wanted to up it a little bit, and I'd be willing to consider. Not too much, but let's pick a different date. But he said no, to his credit.
He's got to realize that he's losing this bet.
Oh, yeah.
He does?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
I mean, there is, when the mayor sits in that chair and says, this is not coming up, who controls the agenda? It's not coming up.
Right.
So, but anyway, so I wanted to offer that to him as an olive branch. and-
Will this even be settled this year?
Oh, yeah. They will make sure it's done. That I can assure you.
Do we think that?
Oh, I do. Yeah.
Bill, do you think that?
I'm not going to bet my mustache on it because.
Will this even be settled this year?
Yeah, it will. Absolutely. I think June was very unrealistic. It'll be settled before the election.
Between June and December, that's what?
No. Between June and November, it'll be settled. They will settle it between June and November. They will not want this. Matter of fact, I think it'll be probably closer to August or September they'll do it, because I don't think that they're going to want this to be a campaign issue. I think they're going to.
So you're thinking in the next 4 months this is going to be
I
settled?
would agree with that, yeah.
That seems incredibly ambitious.
No,
after hearing what Snook and Payne said.
No.
on
I mean,
Friday.
I'm tracking to where it's at. They're going to release the next module, actually coming up next week, I believe. The third module. There'll be a couple of public things. The budget stuff is over, or almost over, right? That part of the crazy season is over for the jurisdictions. You know,
If you're Snook and Payne, who are running for re-election, why would you want to be seen pushing this through before you're running for re-election? If you're Snook and Payne, you would benefit from this getting dragged out to after the election.
That's one way of looking at it. The other way of looking at
Now,
it.
that's a June 20 primary, because there's no independent or Republican right now, so we'll know after June 20. If
Yeah.
June 21...
I'm talking the general, not the primary.
Well, there is no general. There's no general
Well,
election.
November.
There's no general election for city council. There are no Republicans or
Oh, no,
independents
no.
running.
I'm talking about the actual election in November.
Yeah, but I'm saying there is no election. We're going to have 3 Democrats from the June 20th primary
Okay, got it.
put on a ticket.
There
and
is
no
an
one's
act-
going to run against them.
I got it. There's an actual election. They have to be
Yeah,
elected.
but there's only 3 people
Yeah,
at that
I get
point.
it. I get it.
So we
Well,
will know.
And that's the point I was trying to make earlier. We're on the same page. So, but there will be an election, right? They'll have to actually go through the process of election.
There'll be a general election, but if no Republican or Democrat wins, if the 3 that come from the primary just vote for themselves, they win.
It's about as close to being anointed.
It's a slam dunk.
As anointed
Yeah.
as you could possibly get.
So we know June 21 who is the majority of council for the next 4 years.
So then, I'm telling you, it'll be done before November.
We'll see.
What's your thinking why they won't?
Snook and Payne made it very clear to us that they were significantly further behind than anyone ever thought they would be.
Oh, I thought they would be. That's the reason I took the bet. But I think they're going to want to put this to bed before November. I may be wrong, but that's my That is my inkling at this point. I think they want to put it to bed. I think they want to start working on a bunch of other different things, that whatever that's important to them on that end of
Well,
it.
they got city manager,
Yeah.
city attorney.
The implementation of this zoning rewrite, I don't think they even understand how difficult that's going to
No,
be.
I don't.
And that's what that.
And I also think that this zoning rewrite, Snook and Payne are more lukewarm than they were some time ago.
Oh no!
I think they're lukewarm about
So
it.
you think that it won't pass?
No, I don't even have a prediction on that. But Michael Payne says on the dais, we can't build our way into affordability. And Lloyd Snook straight up says on the dais, and Juan Diego Wade echoes Lloyd Snook's comments that this zoning rewrite is taking on a life of its own and had momentum they never saw coming.
So on that rewrite, upzoning, the next module is the most important module, and that's dropping according to Seville plans together on April 10th. And that is the zoning administration review process. That is where the rubber meets the road. So the zoning districts, it's a bunch of pretty pictures, yada, yada, yada. We've done that. Development standards, I've read through that. I can't
That was
tell
the
you-
last one.
I can't tell you how many times. Pretty standard stuff for the missing middle stuff that's going all around the country, reduced parkings, height requirements, affordable housing densities and all that stuff. How those projects are going to be reviewed, processed, and done, that's where the rubber meets the road. I don't think there's enough people on staff to do that. That's a lot of work. That might have to call the Easter Bunny, but that's a lot of work. That was the first smile of the show. The
not true.
second smile, third smile of the show. But that's where the rubber is going to meet the road. So, okay, coach, I've got a zoning ordinance, right? I've got a standards. I'm ready to go ahead and do this. What is the process? That's the one that's dropping next. We're having trouble trying to get stuff through the city now that is by right.
Yeah, wait until they're flooded
The
with...
land trust, I'm still trying to get bond money back from them that we're all done for a project that's 4 years old. People have been living in the house. I misspoke. Been living in a house for 3 years. So how the hell are they going to? That's the big struggle. And do they have the budget for it? Do they have the human resources for it? Then you have what you mentioned. Somebody is going to sue without a doubt.
Oh, lawsuits are already going.
Well, they can't act it. They can't proceed with the laws.
The lawsuits are already being planned.
Yeah, got it.
They're already being
They have to take the action first.
conversated.
They have to take the action first. But in any event, it's going to be interesting. But I think they will do this before November.
Keith Smith with the predictions. I love it. I love
Before
the Fridays.
November.
I heard it. Before November. Time will tell.
So what are you doing this Easter weekend?
Time will tell. Spending a lot of quality time with the family.
Good for
Got the oldest has got swim lessons and squash lessons. We got brunch plans. Got some happy hour plans. I'm going to play some squash myself. We got Easter Bunny visiting, eggs to hunt, a neighborhood get together. It's a busy one. How about you?
We were going to go up to Connecticut to visit the kiddos, but when you hit a certain age, driving for 8 to 12 hours after a show, and then coming back, because we have to come back on Sunday because we've got the show on Monday, plus I've got meetings. We're going to FaceTime the heck out of them. Yona's running a race tomorrow morning.
Nice, Yona.
Pardon?
Nice, Yona.
Yep, she's running a race tomorrow. I'm doing a 2-hour bike ride. Sunday, a shout out to Michael Guthrie. They do a sunrise service at UVA over at the amphitheater there.
You guys going?
If we're in town, we do it every year.
Nice.
And then we're going to go out to Blue Moon for breakfast. And I might take an afternoon off.
There you go.
Who knows?
Keith Smith catching a little afternoon Z's over there.
You know what? Good idea.
There you go. You've earned it. Get Forrest the dog, and you got a great outing right there.
Okay.
Judah Wickhauer is the director. He's Keith Smith. The show is Real Talk with Keith Smith, archived at realtalkwithkeithsmith.com.
Look at you. Pull down the partner tab.
Partner tabs. The data is on the website.
Not yet, buddy. We got to give the
What are you
director.
going to have it up today, right?
We got to give the director a little bit of time to go ahead and post that. So this is going to be sold dollar value, single family detached, up from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 jurisdictions. Right? I got that right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I lied. 10.
10 jurisdictions.
10 jurisdictions. And the reason why I'm a little sluggish today, I got up at 3:30 this morning to do that, and this is only my second coffee.
3:30
And
a.m.
the power of the funny ears just isn't there today.
The Easter Bunny ears, guys.
And the hell with Amazon for not delivering my suit. I was so pumped for that.
Well, we'll get it next year.
There you go.
We'll get it next year. Keith Smith, guys. Judah Wickower, Jerry Miller, Real Talk with Keith Smith, presented by Yes Realty Partners. The I Love Seville show is up at 12:30. Tune in and get to know this community, guys. Thank you kindly for joining us. We will see you in 1 hour. Take care.
Dun, 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 dun.
Mics, let us know when the mics are off.
He does that.